Donald Trump is back in global headlines, and this time the focus is on Venezuela. In a move that has shocked international markets and reignited geopolitical tensions, Trump announced a complete blockade of sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers. This decision is being described as one of the most aggressive economic actions taken against Venezuela in recent years, and its impact could be felt far beyond Latin America. So what exactly happened? Why did Trump do this? And how could it affect the world economy? Let's break it all down. The announcement came during a press briefing where Trump declared that any oil tankers operating under U.S. sanctions would be blocked from entering or leaving Venezuelan ports. According to Trump, this move is aimed at cutting off financial lifelines to the Maduro government, which he once again labeled as corrupt, illegitimate, and dangerous to regional stability. Trump framed the blockade as a necessary step to protect democracy and prevent sanctioned oil revenues from funding what he called authoritarian behavior. Supporters say this shows strength and decisive leadership. Critics, however, argue that it could worsen humanitarian conditions and destabilize global energy markets. To understand why this matters, we need to look at Venezuela's role in the global oil industry. Venezuela has some of the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Despite years of economic collapse, sanctions, and mismanagement, oil remains the country's most important export. Even limited oil shipments generate billions of dollars that help keep the government running. By targeting oil tankers directly, the United States is not just placing pressure on Venezuela's leadership. It is effectively choking the country's main source of income. This is not the first time Trump has taken a hard stance on Venezuela. During his previous presidency, he imposed strict sanctions, froze Venezuelan assets, and openly supported opposition leader Juan Guaido. However, this latest move goes further by using physical enforcement rather than financial restrictions alone. That escalation is what has many analysts concerned. Blocking oil tankers raises serious questions under international law. While sanctions are common, physically preventing ships from traveling can be interpreted as an act of economic warfare. Several countries have already expressed concern, warning that such actions could increase tensions and provoke retaliation. Energy markets reacted almost immediately. Oil prices saw short-term volatility as traders worried about reduced supply and potential ripple effects. Even though Venezuelan oil production is lower than it once was, any disruption still matters in a tightly balanced global energy system. For countries that rely on Venezuelan oil, especially in parts of Latin America and Asia, this blockade creates uncertainty. Some nations may now need to find alternative suppliers, which could increase costs and fuel inflation. Inside Venezuela, the situation is even more serious. The country is already struggling with widespread poverty, shortages of basic goods, and a fragile healthcare system. Critics argue that cutting off oil revenue could deepen the humanitarian crisis, hurting ordinary citizens far more than political leaders. Human rights organizations have warned that economic pressure tactics often have unintended consequences. When governments lose revenue, social services are usually the first to suffer. This raises a difficult question. Can pressure on a government be justified if it causes suffering among civilians? Trump and his allies reject this argument. They insist that the responsibility lies entirely with the Maduro government, which they accuse of mismanaging resources and ignoring the needs of the people. According to Trump's narrative, strong action is the only language authoritarian regimes understand. Politically, this move also plays well with Trump's base. Taking a tough stance against socialism and foreign governments has long been a central theme of his messaging. The Venezuela blockade reinforces his image as a leader who is willing to act decisively on the global stage, even if it means controversy. At the same time, opponents argue that this decision is more about domestic politics than foreign policy. With approval ratings under pressure and economic concerns at home, critics say Trump is using international confrontation to shift attention and energize supporters. Another major concern is the risk of escalation. Venezuela has allies, including Russia and China, both of which have economic and strategic interests in the country. If tankers connected to these nations are affected, the situation could quickly become more complicated.